Alexx O'Nell, you are really an enigma among
Okay,
actors.
it's a great way to start, but okay.
That's why I'll ask you an enigmatic question.
All right.
Are you an actor, a musician, or director?
I'm definitely not a director. The only direction I've done has been for my own music videos. And even then, it's more of kind of a collective direction because I take suggestions from the folks that I'm working with. Usually I get my friends together to make them, so I don't direct them as fiercely as I might if I was actually hiring real actors. But no, I'm not a director in any sense. I would say I'm probably mostly an actor because that's what I spend most of my time doing, and then secondarily a musician. But if you were to ask me to which art form I actually pour my heart and soul into more, I would say that would be music. Because for music, I am the musician, I am the producer, I am the director. For film, I'm an actor following the lead of a director at the mercy of an editor, speaking the words of a writer. And yeah, I mean, that's also a wonderful position to be in as an artist. But I would say both actor and musician. And I'm so happy that India has given me the opportunity to be both.
Like you said, you're an actor. Do you act all the time or only when you're in front of the camera?
I act only when I'm in front of the camera. I find that people think actors can be very good liars. I've had people very close to me ask me that question. Is it true that if you're able to act on screen, does it mean that you can act in real life? I suppose there could be a little bit of truth to that. But I think that people lose sight of the fact that acting is something that you do to tell a story, to be a part of the telling of that story. Lying, you're just doing to get your way. So maybe some of the same skills work for both, but I tend to use it just in pursuit of telling a story.
And several actors may be very jealous of you because you had the opportunity to work with Amitabh Bachchan in Chini Kam, Mammootty in 2 films,
Yep.
and Mohanlal now in Lucifer and Empuraan.
Yeah.
How was it working with Amitabh Bachchan?
Oh, it was phenomenal. It was the best possible way for me to be introduced to Hindi cinema. Obviously, I've been an actor. I've been a stage actor for 10 years before that. I've done television and ads. But Chini Kam was the first experience that I had on a big budget Hindi film, and a Bollywood film. This was also song and dance. And to work with folks like Amitabh Bachchan, to work with Tabu, and years later I worked with Tabu in Kufia as well. But to be able to be introduced to the industry in such a beautiful and successful film, because a lot of people noticed me, even though it was a modest role, it did open doors for me. It was truly a privilege, and I'm incredibly thankful to R. Balki for having put me in that film. And of course, incredibly thankful for all the subsequent opportunities that I've been given over the years. Which obviously culminates now with, as you pointed out, working with Mohanlal in Lucifer 2, and of course with Akshay Kumar in Kesari Chapter 2, and Prosenjit Chatterjee and Devi Chowdhurani, and to work with Anant Mahadevan again behind the camera on Phule. So many wonderful opportunities to work with such amazing actors, and many of them are stars, but to me, they're always scene partners and fellow actors because I didn't grow up watching them on screen, so I don't really have the same starstruck reaction that a lot of folks might. But yeah, it's truly been a privilege. I'm incredibly grateful for those opportunities.
Anand Mahadevan directed you in Phule.
Yes.
But before this, you had acted with him in a film about a doctor, lady doctor.
Dr. Rahmabai. Yes.
How was the difference in his direction then and now? Because quite a long gap has been there.
A bit of gap. So Dr. Rahmabai, we're still hoping it will get either theatrical release or widespread OTT release. It's a beautiful film. It is starring Tanishta Chatterjee, who I think is one of India's finest actresses. She's done such amazing work, not only here in India, but also abroad. Working with Anand, it didn't change between the two. He's a man who's incredibly passionate about telling important stories. And Phule is one of those stories, Dr. Mohanlal as well. I love working with people who are incredibly passionate. Now, I won't tell you what the film was, but I remember I was shooting a film many, many years ago, and I looked up after the take was over, and I saw the director was, messaging someone on the phone. So if you're not passionate about your film, it's very difficult to get the people around you passionate. And Anand Madhavan is one of the most passionate people about cinema that I have ever met. And it takes a lot to make films about important stories like that, and to get people excited and interested about a film that doesn't have blood and gore and violence, but films that really have at their core these important social stories. So he's certainly not taking the easy way in making cinema, but he's making incredibly beautiful and important cinema.
And another thing which astonishes people who come to know you is that besides being an actor as well as a theatre guy, you also took part in a reality dance contest, Nach Baliye 3.
That is true. That is true. Funny thing is it's very hard to find those videos, and hopefully no one's going to take that as a challenge, because it was almost before we had the full digitization of everything. So I have those dance performances. I'm not going to put them up for people to watch, but yes, I look back very fondly at my experience on Nach Baliye. It was season 3. Obviously, my partner and I, Shweta Keswani, we did not win, but we came in, I think, 4th place or something like that, which means we lasted a good number of weeks, I think 6 or 7 weeks, which meant that we performed 6 or 7 times. And performing different dance forms from bhangra to salsa to waltz to Bollywood was a truly phenomenal learning experience. To get up on stage on live television, because there was, I think, maybe a 1-minute delay, but essentially live television once a week, and perform and not be able to make any mistakes, or at least try to make as few mistakes as possible. It was really learning by fire, learning in the crucible, and learning something that I don't necessarily consider to be one of my talents. I don't think I'm a very good dancer, Jyoti, but I certainly look back fondly on that experience.
Considering the fact that you have to learn dancing, you can't pretend to dance.
Yeah.
How difficult was it for you to adjust your time to learn the intricacies of the dance art form?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And in fact, I think that participating in that show, because it was one of the first real difficult adult experiences. I was still very young at that point. I think I was in my mid-20s. And I had come to India and I was traveling. I was doing films and so on. But I don't think I ever really encountered such a difficult challenge before. The films that I was doing weren't requiring that I speak Hindi. It's only my more recent films and series, like Arya, for example, that required I learn Sanskrit, or Ek Vatan Mere Vatan, in which I spoke mostly in Hindi, or Devi Chowdhurani, where I speak 80% in Bengali. So these kinds of challenges.
You learned Bengali also.
Yes, but for Devi Chowdhurani. So I'm actually quite nervous about how the response from the audience will be, but we'll see. Nach Baliye was an incredible challenge, and I learned through that experience that if I don't have the talent, I need to spend the time. And Shweta, you knew my ex-wife, and Shweta was a phenomenal dancer, excellent dancer, still is to this day. And for her, it would be 2 hours at the rehearsal hall, and she would have her steps done, and she'd be ready to perform. For me, it was every single day for 6 or 7 hours, going over the dance steps, and trying to prepare in advance for the next week, and the next week, and the next week. And we didn't necessarily know what our songs would be moving forward, but we had a great choreographer named Padmini, and Padmini would try to get me up to speed on what most Indians already know, how to dance. So she worked very hard with me, and and I'm very thankful for her guidance, and thankful for the experience because, as I said, it was really one of the first artistic professional challenges that I encountered, and there have been many since, especially language. And I approach language in the same way. I know that I'm not very good at Hindi. I know I'm not good at all at Bengali. But if I work hard, it becomes possible.
You're right, because you even tried your hand at acting in a Tamil film called Tandavam.
Tandavam.
How was that experience?
Well, Tandavam is actually the second film that I did in Tamil. Tandavam, the role was very, very, very minor. But if you watch a film called Madrasapattanam, that is one of the films of which I am most proud, to be honest. It is such a beautiful film. It is so well made. And it is Amy Jackson's first film. It was myself, Arya, and Amy. And an excellent cast, wonderful cast. And for that film, I did speak in Tamil. But that, I think, apart from Urmi, was one of the most significant roles that I had on film till that date. So working in Tamil really gave me an opportunity to do a major lead negative role in a film before anywhere else. And the film that came just after that in the South was Urmi, which is the first film that I worked with Prithviraj on. And once again, that was a major role in a
Vidya Balan and Tabu were there.
That's right, yeah. Vidya Balan, Tabu, Janili D'Souza, Prabhudeva, a phenomenal cast. And if you haven't seen Urmi, please do see it. You can watch it after you watch Lucifer 2 Empuraan to see where Mohanlal and where Prithviraj and I first met and first connected and became friends. In fact, I just sent a message. I just was communicating with Prithvi, wishing him all the success for the launch tomorrow. Unfortunately, I will be shooting tomorrow. So, you always prioritize shooting above promotions. So unfortunately, I won't be watching the first show of Lucifer 2 Empuraan, but I hope that you will be.
And Madrasapatnam was re-released in Telugu as 1947
A love story. That's right. And it did very, very well in Telugu as well. Look, things have changed so much. As you know, Jyoti, things have evolved. And now we have Lucifer 2 Empuraan that's releasing, I think, in 6 languages, all at the same time. It used to be that a film like Madrasapatnam would need to prove its worth in its own territory, and then it would be re-released, sometimes redubbed, sometimes be remade entirely in different languages. I think one of the beautiful things about, whether it's Lucifer or any host of other films that we have releasing, it's that we try to make it as authentically acceptable in each one of the territories as possible at the same time. So when you're spreading the news about the film and people are getting excited about it, they're getting excited about it worldwide rather than just in your community alone.
See, to act in one role in a film is okay. To act in 2 roles also is okay. But you have had the privilege of acting in a triple role in Vasco da Gama.
That's right. I played Vasco da Gama, I played his son, and then I played someone else for the very end of that film, which took a historical premise and then brought it to the present day. Look, the third role was very small. The other 2 roles were quite large.
I believe the third role was created.
Yeah, the third role was was created in order to, I think, give the film more relevance, easily brought into today's date. Look, it was a film about Vasco da Gama coming to Kerala in the 1600s and the effect that had. And I think Santosh Sivan did a wonderful thing to shoot a very small portion of the film present day to kind of show the echoes of that experience through time. So it could have easily just been a film set in the 1600s, but he did something very interesting to also bring it to the present day. So yeah, triple role, but really that film was more a double role, playing Vasco da Gama and his son Estavio.
No wonder you have gone on record calling Santosh Sivan the Steven Spielberg of Indian cinema.
Yeah, and it's not just because he gave me such great roles. It's because before I work on any film, generally what I do is I look up the director's work and I try to watch 2 of their films before I do the film. So before doing Urmi, I watched Before the Rains, which was a beautiful film with Rahul Bose and just a phenomenal movie, in English film. And then I watched Tahan, which is a Hindi film. And I watched The Terrorist, which is also a wonderful, wonderful movie. So I watched these 3 films and I was just blown away, because they're completely different films, and yet each one of them is so incredibly beautiful. And of course, Santosh has done work like Ashoka and so many other films. But these really became 3 of my favorite films. And I really do believe that he is one of India's finest directors and cinematographers.
And you also made your, is it debut or it was one of the web series, Inside Edge?
Yeah. I've had the privilege of being in the debut series for every OTT platform that has launched. I think, Inside Edge was for Amazon. We also did Bo's Dead or Alive, which was for Altology. Disney Plus was launched with Arya, with Sushmita Sen and Sikandar Kher and myself. And I know I'm missing a few others here and there, but yeah, it was very cool to play a cricketer. I know it's going to come as a huge surprise, but in the US, I never watched cricket in my life. So it was definitely a different experience to be playing a sport that I didn't grow up enjoying. But yeah, I look back on that experience fondly as well. And I love the fact that these international streamers have not only come to India with content from outside, but are also creating content here. For example, there was a Netflix series that I did called Sweet Karam Coffee, which is Amazon. It was the first Amazon original in Tamil. And it was just wonderful to be a part of that. It was a beautiful, beautiful series. And I love that, like I said, the streamers aren't just coming here with their content, but they're actually interested in making domestic content here that authentically appeals to people here in India.
As an actor, what difference do you find between different mediums? Feature films, theatre, and web streams?
Yeah, well, look, web streams and films, I think, are very similar. It's almost like maybe budgets differ here and there, but not really. I would say it's kind of like you're shooting one really long movie when you're making a web series, because it's not as if you shoot one episode and then take a break and then shoot another episode. You shoot all of it in one go, and then it's chopped up into whether it's 23-minute episodes if it's television, or 30-minute, or an hour-long, whatever it is that your format is. So I think series and films are very, very similar in that sense. But when you talk about films and series versus theater, there's a huge difference there, because your frame for series or film can be just your eyes, whereas your frame when you're on stage is always the entirety of the stage. So your expressions, your emotions have to reach and resonate just as well to the first row as the back row, whereas in a cinema hall, everybody is seeing just your eyes. So the nuance can really be captured and felt on film and in series in a way that you can't really do it in theater. And we do have theater in the round where every seat is 10, 15, or 20 feet away at the most. And that's beautiful too. And I think that's where you then call upon your ability to underplay, to use nuance, to use tiny little movements to convey emotion and meaning. But that's the kind of thing you always have to do in film. You have to really recognize that there is one audience member, and that audience member is the camera, and sometimes they're able to just see a tiny bit of a tear forming in your eye. And it's a wonderful thing. It's beautiful to have been able to do both of these mediums, because they both give you different type of fulfillment, but they are certainly absolutely different types of acting.
Okay, Alex, have you also been part of opera?
I have not. I started out as an actor in the US doing plays, so dramas, comedies, but also musicals. So the funny thing is that whereas I'd probably never seen a musical film in the US, and we make them from time to time, like La La Land and so on, but they're really the exception. Les Miserables, for example. But I did on stage plays like Camelot and Grease and plays like this. And so I was no stranger to the concept of having music built into a narrative. So coming to India, it wasn't strange for me to then be working in films that had music built into the narrative. But no, I've never done opera, and I think that's a completely that's. I've watched opera and I've enjoyed opera, but I've never been a part of it, and that is truly something outside of my ability. If there's a reality show for making opera stars, I don't know. I think I'd rather do another dance one.
And the next question is somewhere nearer the topic we came to meet today for. You play the role of Robert McCarthy in Empuraan.
Yeah.
What exactly is the role? Is it a negative role or a positive role?
That's a good question. If you've seen Lucifer 1, you know that the film opens on an agent, let's say, on his computer working at an Interpol headquarters. And his face is the first face you see on screen, and his voice is the first from whom you hear the name Qureshi Abraham. And that's what sets off this three-part series of films. But that's all you see of him. So you don't really know what to think of Robert McCarthy. In Lucifer 2 Empuraan, I don't want to say whether he's positive or negative, but what I will say is all the expectations that you would bring from Lucifer 1 to 2 are completely thrown out the door. And it's only a few hours before you'll see what I'm talking about. But the idea is that what you expect Robert McCarthy to be is not who he is. And that has been a lot of fun to portray on screen. Because I too came with that expectation that he's essentially an MI6 agent who's tracking this guy, and now he's going to try to confront him. He does confront him, but it's in a way you completely will not expect. So it's a nice surprise.
You had met, I think, Prithvi during Urumi.
Yes.
How did you bag the role of Empuraan? I mean, in the film.
Yeah. Well, Prithvi and I had remained in touch over the years. Look, Urumi was an incredibly successful film for South India. I remember back then, some of the team and I of Urumi got together and we went and we saw it here in a cinema in Mumbai, and we were like the only 10 people in the cinema. So a huge, massive blockbuster film in the South didn't translate to filling any cinema halls here in Mumbai. And unfortunately, that has been the story for so many years. And that's changed now. It changed with films like Captain Miller, which I was lucky to be a part of, and RRR, which again, I was lucky to be a part of. But it's kind of come into a totally new realm now with a film like Lucifer 2 Empuraan, where there's such excitement. But anyway, going back to the beginning, we kept in touch over the years. And when Prithvi began directing, he gave me a call and he said, look, this is the first film I'm directing, and I've been able to get Mohanlal to be a part of it. I'd like you to do a role in this film. And I said yes. I didn't need to see the script. I didn't need to know what the story was. Prithvi is just such a wonderful guy. He has got the charisma to make everyone around him want to give their absolute best in support of his vision. And I don't think that without that, a film like Lucifer 2 Empuraan would ever have been made, because it is massive. It's a massive undertaking.
There is a little bit of confusion in my mind. Lucifer was the first film.
Yeah.
After that, Empuraan was supposed to be the second film. Where is the third part of the sequel?
Third part is still coming.
You
So
thought
this is
for
not
it?
no. So this is not a sequel.
Prequel.
Yeah, well, no. This is a sequel. It comes after the first part, but I think the third part comes before the first part. So we will see. I don't want to confuse everyone quite yet, but yeah, Lucifer 1, Lucifer, the highest-grossing Malayalam film of all time. I think it still has the record till now. We'll see tomorrow. But it looks as if Lucifer 2 Empuraan is going to surpass that. Lucifer 2 Empuraan is the second of a 3-part trilogy.
And one more part is Blueberry or something.
Blueberry, I don't know. I'm totally out of touch with anything except for the films. I'm shooting 2 films right now, and there's these 4 films releasing over the next 6 weeks. I have nothing else in my mind. But I'm sure Blueberry is going to be a great movie too. I don't know.
Alex, you are known for your fetish for riding motorcycles.
True.
When did you get inspired by motorcycle riding?
Well, I think it's Mumbai that inspired my love of motorcycles. I have for you motorheads out there, motorcycle enthusiasts. I ride a Royal Enfield Classic 500. It is very old. It's from 2013. It is the Desert Storm model, and I just love it. I love having it here in Mumbai because I can put on my helmet, nobody recognizes me, and I don't want to get in trouble, but I can ride around the traffic very safely. I can ride around the traffic. But I've enjoyed riding motorcycles for at least the last 15 years. I didn't when I was a kid. I'd never experienced a motorcycle till I was here in India. And ever since I've fallen in love with this brand, Royal Enfield. I think that they have reinvented the brand. I think it's a point of significant Indian pride that the Royal Enfield motorcycle manufactured here in Chennai is one of the largest selling brands in the world. And I've gone and I've visited Royal Enfield dealerships in North America, in the United States. I have visited the one Royal Enfield dealership, the flagship Royal Enfield dealership that is about to be launched in Cape Town, South Africa, which is where I also live part of the time. I live here in Mumbai, Cape Town, South Africa, and Amsterdam. So Royal Enfield is a brand that I love. I love their new range of motorcycles. They've just developed a new 450cc engine for the new Himalayan, and they were kind enough to invite me to Jaipur to test out the engine on adventure track and to test out the 440 engine on the flat track racing. And I just had a phenomenal time. We also took apart the engines, put them back together. So yeah, I'm passionate about motorcycle riding. It's a lot of fun. And it's a great way to get around here in Mumbai. But also paragliding and scuba diving and trail running and all these things. I'm really an outdoors guy. And if I'm not shooting a film or in the studio making a song, I really like to be out in nature, feeling that adrenaline rush.
And knowing you for the past so many years, I've always found you to be emotionally very realistic and frank.
Mm.
How do you recall the relationship with Shama?
I absolutely am filled with gratitude to have had such an amazing relationship with Shama. She's a wonderful human being. I'm very happy for her now. She's married, happily married. And I wish her all the best. The last time I saw her, I gave her a big hug and we chatted for a little while. We caught up on what's transpired in our lives since the last time we met. Yeah, I mean, you know her. You're friends with her as well. She's just a fabulous human being. She's a very positive individual. I think she's done a lot in service of people's awareness of mental health. I think she's been very forthcoming with her own struggles. And I think that is a very worthy cause for her to have championed. And yeah, I wish her the best. And I'm always happy to run into her. We don't make a plan to meet. We aren't in touch. But whenever we have met, we've always greeted each other with kindness and yeah, wonderful.
And unfortunately, she has not been given the due she deserves as an actor.
She's a fantastic actor. She's a wonderful dancer as well. And beyond that, she's just a fabulous human being. So I really hope that filmmakers will do exactly as you said, give her her due. But look, this industry is not always fair. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunities I've gotten because I know that these kinds of opportunities don't just come along every day. So I'm filled with gratitude for the opportunity to have lived as an actor and a musician for all this time. But Shama has done some great work as well, and she's actually produced some of her own work as well. So she doesn't need any of us rooting for her. She knows how to play this game, and I'm sure that she's doing extremely well.
Alex, we spoke about Shama. Shweta Keswani was the first woman in your life. You even married her. What memories you have of her?
Only fond memories. Look, I'm grateful to have had Shama and Shweta in my life. Both of those were relationships from which I learned a great deal and grew a great deal. Swetha and I were married for a number of years. We divorced in 2011, and thereafter she moved to the US, and she's continued acting all these years, and she's had significant success there as well. And I'm always very happy to hear about the things that she's doing. I believe she recently acted with Dustin Hoffman, who's an incredibly famous American actor, and Swetha has always been a phenomenal actress. So I'm always excited to see the kind of work that she's doing. So I look back on that relationship only with fondness. We obviously went our separate ways, but we held no grudges against each other. And just as any time that I meet Shama, whenever I meet Swetha, I'm extremely excited to give her a hug, ask her how she's doing, and to hear about all the things that have transpired. Now, I'm not in touch with any of my exes. It's not out of anger, it's not out of spite, it's not out of hatred or any of these things, but it's out of a respect for the new lives that they've forged. Both Shama and Swetha are married to their respective partners. I don't know if I would appreciate an ex-husband of my wife messaging and saying hi and saying let's get together. Look, we all move on. It doesn't mean that I think of them with any less fondness. I wish them the best. It's just that is a time that has passed, and anytime that I happen to see them, though, I'm more than happy to greet them and give them a hug and wish them all the best.
And coming back to your professional life, this year, 2025, seems to be very promising. After Empuraan, there are quite a few films of yours being ready for release. Tell me something about them.
Sure.
And your role.
Look, if you have pen and paper ready, we have tomorrow, the 27th of March, we have Lucifer 2 Empuraan. Following that, there'll be Phule, which is the Anant Madhavan film that has Pratik Gandhi Patralekhaa Paul. We already spoke about, essentially what that's about. It's about Jyotiba Phule, who was a pioneer in women's education. A very important story to be told. That's on the 11th of April. On the 18th of April, we have Kesari Chapter 2 with Akshay Kumar. This is about the events surrounding the Amritsar Massacre. In the film, I play the Viceroy of India, someone who was pushing towards Indian self-rule. He was trying to reform the way that the empire was being run. And in that way, I think history would treat him as more of a progressive individual if these types of massacres, these types of horrible incidents hadn't happened. But this event changed the course of history. And it also showed the British in Britain that this illusion of a functioning colony, this illusion of their right to be ruling India was just that, an illusion. So it not only had a huge effect here in India, but also had an effect around the world. So that's also a very, very important film. And Chelmsford, the character that I play, is a very important one in that story. And it's the first time I'm working with Akshay Kumar since Joker. So hopefully this one will fare a little better than our first time around. And then finally, on the 1st of May, I have my next Bengali feature called Devi Chowdhurani releasing. Devi Chowdhurani is the first film that I'm shooting with Prosenjit Chatterjee after my debut in Bengali, which was Eighth Obhijan. And it's the first film in which I speak almost entirely in Bengali. So let's see. I'm curious to see what you guys think of my performance in Bengali. The first time that, or rather the last time that I really went out on a limb and worked significantly in Hindi was in Ei Vatan Mere Vatan, and that worked out well. So I'm hopeful that Devi Chowdhurani will also fare well, or at least people will see the hard work I've put in to speaking Bengali the way that they did appreciate my work in Ei Vatan Mere Vatan.
Before winding up the interview, one question which not only me, but so many of your fans and well-wishers want to ask you. How difficult was it for you to break the typecasting that people try to
Hmm.
when you when they approach you for acting.
Hmm.
Because generally they would like you to cast you as a negative foreigner.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, look, I think it's partially my choices, but I think it's also that audiences have matured. We spoke a moment ago about all these OTT platforms coming to India, whether it's Amazon or Netflix or Disney, and suddenly all of this content made abroad, made with completely different sentiments, was available. And I think that audiences started reacting to nuance more. They started reacting to multi-dimension more with regards to characters not just being black or white. Now, there's still a space for that. There's still, the good guy is on his way to work, he rescues puppies, and the bad guy on his way to work drives them over in his Mercedes Benz, right? So there's still those types of films being made and series being made. But I think there's also become space for more nuanced cinema and series to be made. And in that space, there are more interesting characters. In Arya, for example, Ram Madhvani made the very interesting choice to cast an American as the one who's memorizing the Bhagavad Gita, who's espousing traditional Rajasthani culture, who's speaking in Sanskrit. Whereas he could have placed that on any one of the other characters. He chose a non-Indian to portray that. But I'm always thankful for the kinds of opportunities I get, and there's always a number of different reasons why I'll say yes to a project. It may be that I really want to work with the director, but the role's not so great, but then I'll say yes. Or maybe the role is so great, but I don't really want to work with that crew, but I'll still say yes because of the role. So part of it is choice, part of it is the fact that the industry is changing because the audience is changing, and part of it is just luck. I've had some incredible opportunities, and I never stop being grateful for them. And I really hope that they'll continue to find me. I don't know what I'm doing that these opportunities come to me, but whatever it is, I hope it doesn't stop because it's been an incredible adventure, one that I'm grateful for every day. I'm incredibly grateful to India for allowing me to live as a musician and as an actor, and I look forward to doing that for many years to come.
And as a parting shot, let me ask you in Hindi. आप फॉरेनर होने के बावजूद कैसे इंग्लिश में हिंदी में दोनों में बात कर सकते हैं?
How do I speak both?
हिंदी में कैसे बोलते हो?
Practice. अभ्यास करता हूँ हर दिन, तो मैं हिंदी बोल सकता हूँ, हिंदी लिख सकता हूँ, देवनागरी लिख सकता हूँ, तो सिर्फ प्रैक्टिस, अभ्यास ज़रूरी है क्योंकि मैं इधर रहता हूँ मुंबई में, तो I actually should learn मराठी, लेकिन हिंदी इतना मुश्किल है और मेरा एक्सेंट इतना अजीब है और मेरा vocabulary इतना छोटा है, तो one challenge at a time. But I look forward to improving my Hindi, and more roles that I get in Hindi, hopefully my Hindi will improve.
You have been doing a wonderful job surmounting the challenges as an actor and have proved your worth in front of the camera.
Thank you so much, Jyoti.
May this year really prove to be fruitful to you.
I look forward to your reviews of all of these films, and I look forward to your reviews as well. Please also take a look at my music at Alexx O'Nell Music on YouTube, and you can get my music on all streaming platforms, JioSaavn, Gaana, Amazon, Spotify, the Indian ones as well as the international ones. I look forward to hearing what you think of the music videos, and of course, the films. And thank you once again, Jyoti, sir. This has been a wonderful opportunity to chat with you.